What's going on, everyone? Hope you're all having a blessed day today. Wow. Um. So yeah, I just got done reacting to Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Well, not reacting to it. I watched it. Oh, that was insane. Okay, first off, if you haven't watched it, I'm gonna be giving a lot of spoilers and talking about the movie and all that. So if you haven't watched it already, um, please don't watch the video yet. Please be sure to go watch the movie. I don't want to ruin the movie for anyone, of course. So okay. Yeah. Other than that, first things first. Okay, so I think this was, how do I put it into words? Not overhyped, but in a way, it was not what I expected, but it was at the same time because the the movie's like the start of going into Phase Five, right? It's not going to be a whole lot of insane action and all that. Even though there was a whole bunch of action, it was awesome, but it was just a start. It's a start going into Phase Five. It's just bringing in Kang, giving him more of his story almost, where he came from and all that, and it's just the start of a new phase. So I thought it was really good. Um, yeah, so the movie started off with I think the biggest character actually. Before I get into that, the biggest character, the most important actually, I should say, was Janet. Janet, like there was so much we didn't know about her. She played the like biggest role in this movie, I think. Okay, so get started into it. So it started off with Janet in a quantum realm when she was there by herself, and she was there for like 30 years or whatever. Um, she started off like fighting those things or whatever, and then she found out that she wasn't the only one there, and she found Kang, who had crashed there because his core in the ship was, messed up and all that. It ran out of energy. So throughout the movie, it kind of showed scenes of her helping him kind of build that core up and help him like fix the ship and all that. So yeah, she eventually helped him obviously fix the ship, and when she touched it, it showed like his mind, because his mind was connected to the ship, right? So she saw what she saw the kind of person he was, what he did in his past, and she saw the conqueror in him, right? So that's what freaked her out. He was like, just come on, because he wants to get out of here, right? He wants to get out of the quantum realm. So he was like, no, let's get out of here, because he knew like she saw, So, and she obviously broke the core with the pin particles and all that, and yeah, and so that's how he had been stuck there in the quantum realm, and he brought his entire empire with like conquered worlds, and he all the technology he's gained from I mean obviously for in time, like he's been doing this for a long time, so his technology's crazy, his army's crazy, right? So he's got like all this stuff, and he just brought it into the quantum realm. So that was like his empire now. So, um, and obviously he got exiled from his variants, from the end of time place where they all like hang out, and yeah, y'all know that part. But yeah, so he got exiled, and that's why he's been on his own. So yeah, so Janet and all that, and then it goes to normal life of Scott and all them. Talks about how he, is Avenger, is a big guy. Um, what's her? I'm already like I'm so bad with names. Hope. She took over the company. She's doing good. She's making the world better with it. And then yeah, so Cassie and all them, Cassie and Henry they started like working on stuff behind everyone's back, and that's when it led to like the signal that MODOK had actually picked up the signal that Cassie has brought down to the quantum realm or whatever, and so that's when he was able to pull them in, right? Like everything was like going wrong, like they got pulled into the quantum realm, and that's how blah blah blah, right? It was all because of Cassie's signal, and so Janet was like, no, we don't need to go down there, because she knew Kang was down there, right? So yeah, that's how they got stuck down there, and then they eventually found the revolution. No, I guess you can call it a revolution, or not revolution. What am I thinking? rebellion. They found like the whole like rebellion against Kang and all that. All the people and such. They got figured it out. They figured all that stuff out with them. And then that's when, so like Kang knew obviously that they had come down to the quantum realm, right? Because MODOK had brought them down, and that's when they had sent MODOK. That's when they had introduced MODOK. He was like the most perfect weapon or whatever. MODOK, right? The most perfect weapon was coming after him, hunting him. He was like the hunter or whatever. And so that's when he had ended up coming with all like the other ships from like Kang's ships came first. Obviously, they came and started destroying everything. That's when MODOK came in, started hunting them. Um, they eventually got away and all that. Cassie was like, she had like her own suit. They were fighting. Sorry, I'm just like trying to visualize the like the movie like in my head right now, trying to talk about it. Yeah, and so they eventually got away from all of them. Well, actually, no, Cassie and Scott got caught. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting. But Cassie and Scott get caught or whatever, and they MODOK ends up taking them to like the Empire, Kang's Empire or whatever. They put him in jail or whatever. And so that's when Kang gets introduced into the movie, well, as like, we're not introduced, but comes walking in, all badass and stuff. So he threatens to kill Cassie if he didn't go and go into like that core storm. You know how it's like core got blew up because of Janet, right? So core got blew up because of her, so he was the only one able to go fix it because he was able to like get small enough to like go through it and all that, of course. So if he wasn't going to do that, if he wasn't going to make a deal with Kang and go do that, then he was going to kill Cassie, right? So obviously, as your daughter, you got to do what you got to do, but at the same time, you're making a deal with the devil, bud. Like, you're making a deal with the devil. Obviously, he's not going to, come up with not come up. He's not gonna go with his side of the deal, right? He's gonna just get what he wants and whatever, right? But so obviously Scott has to go down to the storm. I'm missing the part. I'm skipping over the part where Henry, Hope, and Janet are together. They're trying to go. They're trying to go find what's his face? I forget his name, but he was like a lord or something. The old guy. So they get to the place. I'm gonna go. Yeah, sorry. I know I'm kind of skipping through stuff, but I'm missing a lot right now. So yeah, they get to the place where they're trying to find that guy because he'd know where Scott and Cassie would be because he can track them, right? So they eventually get to the place. They meet him, but he turns out he ended up siding with Kang because I guess he he eventually just said, okay, this guy is powerful. He's, I might as well destroy him. It's, obviously Kang gave him a deal or some kind of high end where he had power, I guess, in the quantum realm or something. So that's what ended up happening. They tried to turn him in, but they eventually, they fought their way out. Henry, Janet, and Hope, they fought their way out, stole a ship, and boom, they were gone. And yeah, that's that part. And so after that, I think it was when, they eventually went to like some desert or something, found those people that she eventually knew. She like cut the dude's arm off, and it was funny. Yeah, if you guys, obviously, if you watched it, you know what I'm talking about. But so they eventually got the ride to be able to go to Kang, right? So they got the ride to be able to go to his empire. But skipping back to Scott and them after that, I don't know if I'm going in the right order. I'm just remembering the certain everything parts. So going back to Scott and them, he has to go into the storm to fix the core, and we'll get the core and use pin particles to fix it, I believe, right? Yeah. So he goes into the storm, tells Cassie bye, whatever. Goes into the storm. Swerving through all the stuff. He gets down there, and then down there it's like a probability of what could happen. So he starts seeing he started like sees an image of himself, like it's not really there, like it's not happening, but in his head it's a probability, right? So he sees it, and then it starts multiplying, right? So whatever he's thinking and all that, like the probability is what's gonna happen. So he starts like freaking out and everything, and everyone starts going crazy. He has to end up like finding peace in his mind, like slow everything down, calm down, think about Cassie. She starts talking to him through the thing, because he ends up like getting like doggy piled on, right? Like, he gets like squished by like all of his variants, I guess, not really variants, but images of himself, right? So he's like, okay, I gotta do this for my family, I gotta do this for Cassie, right? So he ends up getting up. He's like, in his mind, like all the people are starting to help him, like, you need to do this, right? So they're helping him up, getting the tower up to the core, because the core is like very high. And eventually they end up falling, and Hope's there to come, and yeah, so they got the ride to the they ended up like meeting almost at the same time to the core with Scott, like at the same time he was jumping, like they were flying to the core, right? So Hope was already going after down there, right? So she was going, yeah, she saw him like falling or whatever, she helped him up, and then they got the core, got it working again after all that, and everything was good. That's when Kane comes walking up, so everything was like done, the core's good, right? So Kane comes walking up, he's like, give it here, right? Like he wants this, he wants it, like he wants to get out of here. So he's like, give it here, he's demanding. And he starts threatening Cassie again, of course. He's like, I think he told him like, forget about her or whatever, because Scott was like, we had a deal, you need to do your side of the deal, give me my daughter back, where is she, right? Because it's for his daughter. So yeah, like sorry, I just brain farted. So he was like, nah, forget about your daughter, just give me the core right now, or I'll make you give it to me, pretty much, right? Like he's a badass, like all powerful, not all powerful, but he's really powerful. So Scott was like, nope, I'm not doing it, you don't have my daughter, you're not giving me my daughter, I'm not giving you the dang core. So Kane was like, okay, starts going at him and all that kind of stuff. End up fighting for the core, obviously, and so that this is where I kind of brain forwarded. This is where I kind of forget in a way. So after that, I'm pretty sure they end up like, he gets the core, he ends up getting the core, he ends up beating them, and so they obviously had to like retreat, fall back, and so they go back and help. Cassie's like in the background. Okay, yeah, I gotta get into that. So Cassie, while this is happening, Cassie is getting the general from the rebellion, the girl, I forget her name, but she gets her out of jail. They figure out a way to get a message out to all the people, like that's going against Kang, start like the rebellion, this is our time now, blah 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 blah, right? Like start like getting the war going. So everyone's like, okay, yeah, blah, blah, let's do it, and all that. So everyone's starting to like go against Kang's army, and all that stuff. So they start, obviously, everyone starts going towards the Empire. Everyone's like rebellion, right? Like it's about the war start. Everyone's charging and everything. But yeah, so Kang ends up getting the core back though. They meet up. Scott and everyone meets up with the rebellion people, right? They do their plan. They're going or whatever. But Kang, with his ship and everything, he had already put it in the ship, and the ship's like working, everything's working back to, so he's able to like leave soon and all that. So that's why they're having to hurry and try and stop him, because he's able to leave now that he has his core to his ship, right? So now they're going to fight him and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, they're going to fight him. They obviously can't. It was obviously too much for Kang's defenses, his army and his guns and all that kind of different stuff. The shield, they like stopped the rings and all that kind of different stuff. But they ended up breaking it down, the big shield, and that's when Kang was like, I fought against, you know how many rebellions I've fought against before? You don't think this is new to me, right? I think he says something like along those lines. This ain't new to me. Like I'm like that, So he ends up going out there himself, starts fighting them, and he's just whooping them, right? You know, he's just killing people, just disintegrating everyone, and then he ends up fighting, you know, Hope and Cassie and Scott. Um, and yeah, I forgot all about. I gotta talk more about MODOK. So MODOK and Cassie ends up beating MODOK, and because she was getting hunted by him towards the end, and yeah, she ends up um, not killing him, but hurts him pretty bad and gives him like a good peace of mind. Like, stop being, I don't know if I can say it on YouTube, but the D word. Stop being a D word. You can get your stuff now. It's not, you can get your stuff together now. It's not too late, right? And so he ends up helping out in the long run, but I'll get into that. So that's what happened with MODOK. So yeah, back to the fight. Kang versus, it was Hope, Scott, and Cassie, and then he was too much for them. Obviously, he was just really powerful. Scott actually gave him a good beating a few times. I'm not gonna lie, he had some good hits, and so yeah, he ended up being too much for him. But during the movie, Henry was getting that, he had the earpiece in with the ants, right? He was getting that signal because the ants had fallen in with them when they had got put into the quantum realm, right? Like, pulled in. All those ants got pulled in too. So he was getting a signal throughout the whole movie that the ants were trying to communicate to him. And he eventually got them all together. He found them. Well, they found him actually, because they were like really smart, right? They found that dude. I gotta get into that too. So like they were so smart. They did like so many years of like technology and stuff, right? Like, they got super advanced, and so yeah, that's that. But they got together. Henry ends up whenever Kang was too much for them, Henry ends up coming at the right time with all the ants, and then they take like Kang away. They end up I'm going too far. So the ants are coming after Kang, right? And so he has to like shield up, and he's like in his little ball, and he's like struggling to like keep it closed so that the ants don't come in. And that's when MODOK came in with, you know, a good peace of mind from Cassie. He avenges himself from, you know, being a bad person or whatever, and he broke the shield, and that's when the ants took him, messing him up, whatever, took him like into the Empire. That's when, let's see, yeah, so after that, it was like a good family meeting, blah blah blah. They had to go up to the core to get home because they had to use that energy or whatever, right? Because it could take you anywhere. So they used the core's energy. They were about to, you know, go back home or whatever. Everyone goes in. Everyone except Scott. So everyone's in through the portal except Scott. That's when, of course, Kane comes in. He's just like all beat up, and is like, because like, I don't know. I guess he got through the ants, obviously. So, and then that's when the big showdown went on, where everyone was wondering like, okay, Scott hasn't come through yet. Like, what's going on? And yeah, Kang started just beating on, like, he was just whooping Scott's. Oh my god, dude, he was just going ham on Scott, dude. I mean, I'll say Scott did get a good hit, like a few good hits. The man was going ham on him. And yeah, he was beating them and all that, and that's when, was it Hope? I think it was Hope that came through the portal, and she helped Scott or whatever, started being on Kang, and Kang was, dude, he was non-stop. Like, he was really trying to get out of there. Like, he just kept running to it. Like, he was not giving up. Like, dude really wanted to get out of there. And so, they ended up beating him or whatever. They both, like, ended up putting him, like, beating him against his, like, core area, like, the core to the machine area. And so they hit him into it. I forget what happened that caused, no, that's right. They hit the pin particles or whatever, the things, onto the core, and then like it exploded and almost pulled Kang with it. Like, it exploded and kind of, it looked like it all went somewhere, and like it looked like it pulled Kang in with it. And that's when obviously they all went home. They thought everything was done, right? Scott's like, okay, just another day, another crazy thing just happened. We went to the quantum realm. No one even really knows about it. And just walking around, getting my coffee and everything. And then, like, he stops and thinks about, like, wait, Kang is really gone, right? Like, he starts second guessing himself, like, it's over, right? Like, is he really gone? Like, because, I mean, it's a big deal, obviously. It's Kang, right? Is he really gone? Like, was that it? And it obviously ended up with him celebrating a birthday dinner with Cassie because Scott missed so many birthdays. They were just doing a random birthday. It wasn't her birthday, but it was just random, right? They just wanted to do it. Um, and that's when it ended. It was just like, I kept thinking, it was like Scott really, it was like him really thinking about, like, is it really over? Like, is that really it? He was still second guessing himself. And, like, it all ended or whatever. So the credit scenes were amazing. So the first one was where, like, the end of time place where all the Kangs were, like the variants of Kang, right? Where he was exiled from. Where the movie form of the villain, y'all know what I'm saying. But that's where he was exiled from. That's where all the other ones were, with all the, like, the other different powers, all the other different forms and different versions of himself, right? So they were like, okay, this, they're really messing around with the multiverse. They're destroying everything we've created, everything we've done. This is getting tiring. I'm tired of it. They were just like, okay, we need to start making a stand now. So that's it showed, like, all the Kangs in, like, a big arena type thing, like thousands of them just, like, screaming and doing different stuff. And it was like, okay, the time is now. We're going to fix this problem. We're going to stop whoever is doing this, right? Because they've obviously beaten down Avengers before, but it's a different story this time because they're messing with the multiverse this time. They're actually ruining it. So that's when they're all, getting ready to make their stand, and all the Kangs are together, right? And then that ended. The next credit scene, which I was very happy for because I was really wanting to see, like, the next, step into the next season of Loki, right? Because of how it ended, how they killed that Kang, right? And he was talking about how there's gonna be more Kangs coming, right? There's gonna be, yeah. Y'all, if y'all seen Loki, y'all know how it ended. If you haven't, you really need to watch it. Before you need to watch this movie, actually. You need to watch Loki before you need to watch this movie. But, yeah, it showed one of the Kangs, like, Loki was, he was, like, watching a movie with, what's his face? I forget his name in the show that was in Loki, but, that one guy, and he was, like, watching a show and he saw Kang, like, on the stage. He was like, holy crap, it's already started. Like, they've already plotted, they're already here, like, they're already. It was just crazy, man. It was so crazy. I was so happy to see that because I was a big fan of the Loki series, and it just shows that, like, the Kings, like, they're already starting to make their move. Like, they're already starting, like, they're already starting to get into it. So it was a big start of the phase, I believe. It wasn't good in, like, a end game type of way. Like, so much has happened. Like, obviously so much has happened, and, like, obviously a lot happened in the movie, but it wasn't, like, a lot of action and meaning to it, right? It was like, this is like the start and build up to the next phase, and that's pretty much how it was. And it was really good, man. I loved it. Jonathan Majors played Kang very well. Such a good actor. MODOK he was alright. I mean, obviously, just him being in the movie I loved. It was a big comic, villain fan, so, he was, like, popular in the villain comics, right? So yeah, it was cool, I guess. He wasn't all that much, I guess, he didn't really do a whole lot in a way that I thought he would, I guess I should say. But he was the one that it was able to pull them down into the quantum realm, though, so he played a big part in that. But yeah, dude, Janet was the biggest main character role in this movie. Like, she played the most important role because of the person that she was, for 30 years in the quantum realm, what she did, like the stuff that she did, right? You know, like she kind of led the rebellion against Kang the first time. So many people got killed, and she ended up leaving them all to die, right? Because they were all counting on her, and she obviously knew everything that was going on. She knew everything about Kang being down there, about everything, about all the people that, like, you know, she knew everything. She knew about it all, and she just never told anyone. And so that's, you know, she played that big role because of not telling him about it, you know, like, this is, you know, that's why all this happened, you know. So yeah, it was awesome, man. Yeah, if y'all, obviously, you don't need to be watching this if you haven't watched it, because I just spoiled the whole movie almost. Obviously, I left out details, but I think I kind of went over the important parts. But yeah, whew, it was really good. If you guys enjoyed the review, actually, I'm gonna start getting into. I'm excited to what they're doing going forward with like Secret Wars. I've been looking up, and like, you know, I saw that Scott's gonna be going in the Secret Wars. I love how they're gonna be, you know, they're plotting this. I really love how they're moving forward with this. Um, and yeah, I'm really excited to see what's to come with all the films and the shows, obviously. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you guys enjoyed, please make sure you leave a like. If you're new, subscribe. We're getting close to a 100 subscriber goal, so it'd be very much appreciated. Click the bell to get all my notifications whenever I post and all that. All my socials will be in the link down below, so make sure you go check those out. And yeah, I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.